Thank you for tuning in. This is DJ Fob Fresh from SegaShiro.com, the Sega Resource, and today we're looking at the newly released PS3 exclusive Yakuza 3. Now, the reason why I chose to start this video review with a shot from the Sunshine Orphanage is because there's a real human element to Yakuza 3, one that goes beyond the simple gameplay mechanics. So, kind of over this review, I'll probably be talking about the narrative experience quite a bit because it was so enjoyable. But let's get down to the mechanics of the game. The Yakuza franchise has always been a bit beyond genre distinction and definition, simply because it provides a variety of gameplay experiences. There's a bit of 3D action in there, it's a bit of a beat-em-up, it also has an RPG-light element to it, while it also has a free roaming element. It doesn't stick to one genre, in fact, it kind of weaves in between all of these. In fact, in my mind, this game is mostly an RPG, simply because, aside from the battle sequences, it's very much about narrative, it's very much about story, and it's very much about the personal relationship between characters. The Yakuza franchise is close to many Sega fans' hearts, simply because it is the extension or the lineage of the Shenmue franchise. Now, while it also blends in other gameplay elements, this is sort of the closest thing we have to a continuation to that series. Perhaps this won't surprise many people that Sega fans pleaded to have this title come over to the West when Sega initially was not going to after the poor sales of the first two titles. However, it did come to the West, but with some significant cuts. Items like the hostesses, Mahjong, shogi, and some other of the activities and side stories have been cut from this title. However, even though those cuts are there, the end result, the end package, is still very rewarding, and I still recommend it for gamers because there's still tons to do in this title. One thing the Yakuza series strives for is a cinematic experience, and really it reaches that lofty goal. I often felt that the characters were some of the most three-dimensional that I've seen in video games. In fact, the early missions really set ground for greater implications toward the ends of the story, and the emotional payoff is huge. And that's where the cinematic experience and the storytelling and the character relationships really thrive in Yakuza 3. That's what really pushed me through this narrative of this game, and that's where I found the most enjoyment. All of the controls in Yakuza are tight. The only problem I had was I had to invert all the camera settings back to normal in order for the game to feel comfortable for me to play it. After your first playthrough, there are tons of things that you can unlock, a variety of missions and DLC content that you can download for free from Sega, so there's lots of game there. So much game, in fact, that my first run-through took me 24 hours, and I only unlocked 12% of the game. There's absolutely a huge title here, even with the cut content. In terms of graphics, the engine is starting to show its age just a little bit, most notably because the game released over a year ago in Japan. However, the graphics hold up, there's no real issue with it, it's just that compared to other games that are out specifically right now, they don't look as good. However, the variety and depth of the engine to do different tasks, such as the different mini-games, to go from the fight scenes to the open world segments, it does an admirable job of capturing the feeling of all of those. Specifically, in fact, the cutscenes in this game, the depth of emotion in the faces of the characters is pretty incredible and still looks fantastic by today's standards. This version of Yakuza, if you're a longtime Yakuza fan, brings some great improvements. There's trophy support, of course. There's also seamless battle, so when you're walking through the towns and someone comes up to you to talk, there's no wait time to get into the battle, so that's kind of quickens the game pace a little bit. Keeps pacing. There's the chase battle mode, which you saw early on the screen, where you are essentially chasing down another person or a dog or whatever the situation implies. Those are fun. I found it a bit flawed. Sometimes that was where I had to do most of my retries. Also, there's Revelation mode, and Revelation mode is brilliant. Essentially what you do as you go through the city, you're looking for strange characters, and if you take a shot with them with your cell phone camera, you essentially get a cutscene, and you blog about it. And what the blogging about it does is give Kazuma new moves that he can use in battle. It's an absolutely hilarious and fun way to kind of add this element into the game, and you know, every time you find one of these hidden scenes, you're gonna laugh. It's a great time. If you missed out on the earlier episodes in the Yakuza franchise, fear not, because the game includes all of the cutscenes from the first two entries that you can watch in order to catch up on the story. The The voice acting in Yakuza 3 is brilliant. Now, it's in its natural tongue in Japanese. It's all been translated via subtitles, and that means that, you will actually have to read. However, being a fan of reading, I quite enjoyed this title and hearing it in its native tongue. Specifically, there's one voice actor that is particularly poor, and guess what? He's the only one that speaks English. So, outside of that one character, all of the other voice acting is top-notch and really bleeds into that cinematic experience. One thing that I really liked the game was the way that you felt your power progressing through the title. So as you leveled up, I really felt my character getting stronger, getting more powerful, and quite towards the end I felt like I was really able to hand some damage to the bosses, and that felt quite nice. Also, one great thing about this game was that the punches really had some weight to them and had good feeling. Yakuza 3 is very much like a fine wine, full of complexity and different flavors, one that takes a little bit of getting used to before you fully understand it. Despite all the minor issues around this title, Yakuza 3 is still a fantastic gaming experience and a great PS3 exclusive. This is DJ Fob Fresh signing out, saying, here's hoping to an uncut Yakuza 4 in the West.